What happened with the dialogue with between the Oriental and Eastern Orthodox churches, the official theological dialogue? May I share a few thoughts about that division and the theological, like we always romantically think that all the reasons that we are divided are theological. This is a theological romanticism, an ecclesiastical romanticism, which has little to do with the reality, the historical reality of the real reasons that we don't have a communion. Let me put it this way. I don't like the word division or whatever else. There are some historical facts, and those of you who really deal with the ecclesiastical history, please help me if I'm not accurate with these historical facts. Some churches and bishops or parts of the Christian world of that time, and I'm talking about the Fourth Ecumenical Council, obviously, which is the turning point in our relationships with the Eastern, between the Eastern and Oriental Orthodox churches. The Fourth Ecumenical Council and the teaching and the horrors of the Fourth Ecumenical Council was not accepted by the entirety of Christianity of that time. What happened, you think? What do you imagine that happened after that? Okay, we don't accept the Fourth Ecumenical Council, and what? We interrupted communion immediately? We created parallel church structures? Is this what you think that happened after the Fourth Ecumenical Council? No. For at least 200 years after the Fourth Ecumenical Council, we had communion. Yeah. 200 years. What happened to Christology? What happened to the two natures, one nature, μία φύσις του Θεού, λόγος εσαρκωμένη? What happened to that? Why? Why was not enough this disagreement to interrupt communion immediately and to create? The church fathers always thought that unity and communion is a sacred, very sacred thing to interrupt like this for any reason, like we do today. The churches, you see the churches over Qatar, we interrupted communion, two patriarchates today, like this, because they disagreed on the jurisdiction on Qatar, interrupting communion. And today, because of Ukraine, we interrupt communion. The patriarchate of Moscow unilaterally interrupted communion with all those who accepted the autocephaly in Ukraine. See how the church fathers in the early church were very, very careful. But what happened after 200 years? Nothing to do with theology. Arab invasions approached the empire. The emperors thought that the Christians who were at the borders of the empire, very close to the Arabs, and they did not have the same faith with Constantinople, were a threat to the empire. So started the Roman emperors, the Byzantine emperors of the Eastern Roman Empire, started persecuting these Christians who did not accept Chalkidona. And this, then, the blood that was shed, led these Christians to separate, to create parallel hierarchy, and interrupt communion with Constantinople. This is history. Another historical fact is we always say the theologians, and you are right to blame the theologians, and I want to remind you what Patriarch Athenagoras used to say about the theologians, said, if you want unity in the church, gather all the theologians, bring them to an isolated island, leave them there, and let's do business here. That was what Patriarch Athenagoras said. We always, in theology, if you read the early theological writings, when the ecumenical movement started, they were all saying, if we want unity, communion, we first have to agree on theology. Κοινωνία αλήθειας και αγάπης, αλήθεια first. So, αλήθεια, okay. What happened with the dialogue with between the Oriental and Eastern Orthodox churches? The official theological dialogue was concluded. We agreed on theology.
Everything.
Everything. There is an agreement. It was concluded like decades ago. And then we realized, okay, then what? The bishops were really blocked because they saw that theologians agreed. Come on, even that happened. Even that happened in this world, theologians agreeing with each other on common texts, on theology. And then the bishops realized that they are not ready for other reasons this time, not for theological reasons. They are not ready for communion, for unity, which means we are not honest when we say that the real reasons that we are not united and we don't have communion are theological reasons. I doubt if we ask, not the faithful, I'm not talking about, do a survey among the clergy of both traditions, church families, Oriental and Eastern, and ask them what is the difference between the two churches, the theological, the Christological difference. The clergy, not the faithful, they have no idea. That's the reality out there. So then I think that we need to take the unity of the church more seriously. Let us be honest if we believe that the theological agreement is enough to move forward with communion, or do not. The other option is hypocrisy. We are not honest when we have dialogue. That's my answer. I think.
Thank you.
I cannot say more because I'm a bishop.
Can I help you a little bit? I just want to add something very simple. We were in Greece, and there was a service in the Greek Orthodox Church. I asked my very dear friend, Metropolitan Niphon, I said, let's go. There's service. There's communion. He said, oh, I don't feel well. I don't think I'm healthy enough to come. I said, why? Shall I call doctor? He said, no. I said, okay. If you are sick, go to your room and sleep. So I was walking, another priest came to me. I said, Metropolitan Niphon is sick. He said, what kind of illness he has? I said, I don't know. He didn't tell me. He said, why didn't he come? I said, I don't know. He said, because he's not in full communion with Greek Patriarch of Jerusalem. And who is suffering? The people is suffering. Who cares? Patriarch of Jerusalem is not in full communion with Patriarch of Romania. Do you care? I don't care. Yeah, that's a reality. This is human arrogance, you know. And we are fed up with these things. Let's come together. Visible unity, full communion. Let's, as I repeat always, theologians, I respect you, I love you, but please leave us in peace. The monks in the monasteries in Armenia, in Greece, in Cyprus, in every part of the world, you know, they don't know the problem that we have in these countries. They don't know the problem that we have in Europe or United States. They are thinking of their prayers. Let them pray, and they pray for us too. But let us do our work. And I'm sure we can achieve it. Thank you.
Let me just remind everyone that you've all accepted an invitation to come to discuss these issues at a theological school.
Thank you.
But